They said he was just a backup, a name on the roster, but on one unforgettable Sunday.
Fun. It was a lot of fun. Anytime you get to play football, it's fun. That's what we all grew up doing, and that's what we came to this level to do. So I embraced it, but I think I personally did a good job of not making it more than it is.
Mike White didn't just play. He rewrote history, lit up the league, and made the NFL world stop and say, "Who is this guy?" Week 8, 2021 at MetLife Stadium. The New York Jets versus the Cincinnati Bengals. The Jets came into the game 2-5, having plodded through a tough early season that had seen them lose in overtime to Tennessee and get routed 54-13 by the Patriots. Cincinnati came in at 5-2 after dominating 41-17 in their last game. The season momentum deficit was drastic. Most of the experts and the fans had already buried the Jets, particularly after the backup quarterback Mike White was declared as the Week 8 starter with the announcement of Zach Wilson's Grade 2 PCL sprain. Zach Wilson's sprained PCL and bone bruise were expected to sideline him for 2 to 4 weeks, leaving the coaching staff with limited options. Mike White, likely to be joined by veteran Josh Johnson, elevated from the practice squad, was thrust into action. Seen largely as a stopgap, very few believed White could spark any meaningful change. That Halloween afternoon promised black clouds in the sky, spectators on the ground, and national commentators predicting the better Cincinnati Bengals team by a landslide. But not if the Jets had anything to say about it. And with White's opening snap, underdog mania engulfed MetLife. On his initial 2 drives of the game, White flooded the wide receiving core with passes, connecting 39-yard needles to Corey Davis and shipping in an 8-yard touchdown pass to Braxton Berrios, showing a jaw-droppingly composed and confident signal caller. Down 7-3 after the first quarter, the game turned into a fierce battle. In the second quarter, White led an impressive drive using a mix of explosive passes and smart scrambling to set up halfback sneak touchdowns that closed the gap. However, a few interceptions on both sides forced each offense to play more cautiously. The halftime advantage was 17-14 Cincinnati, but White had already accumulated 202 yards, a score, and 2 interceptions, and even left briefly with a head injury, but still gritted it out when he returned on the same drive. The fourth quarter was craziness. Cincinnati took it to a 31-20 lead on Joe Burrow's scoring throw to Tyler Boyd, but White responded with composure. With a 19-yard Ty Johnson scoring run, the Jets bring it to 31-26. Then the game saver. Shaq Lawson's interception breathed life into the Jets, and White immediately tossed a touchdown to tight end Tyler Kroft to put them up 32-31. The stage plot twist. On the 2-point conversion, White batted his pass back to himself after Jamison Crowder flipped it, literally flipping back the NFL fairy tale page, quoting both receiver and quarterback in his own comeback story. At the conclusion of the game, White had completed 37 of 45 for 405 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions with a passer rating of 107.5. A rookie backup debut performance unlike any other in recent NFL history. It was the first 400-yard passing game by a Jets quarterback since 2000, and the first instance of any NFL quarterback throwing 400-plus yards and 3 touchdowns in a starting debut since Cam Newton in 2011. If you're enjoying the video, hit that like button. It helps more than you think. And if you want more content like this, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. What Mike White accomplished that afternoon cannot be accounted for in terms of a typical NFL storyline. It's the kind of fairy tale effort that reshapes expectations. In his first start ever, he was the Jets' first quarterback since Vinny Testaverde in 2000 to throw for more than 400 passing yards in a game, breaking a 21-year drought. He also achieved a franchise milestone, becoming just the second quarterback in NFL history after Cam Newton in 2011 to throw for over 400 yards and record 3 touchdown passes in his first career start. White passed for 82.2%, tied a team record for debut completion, and recorded a 107.5 passer rating, a dazzling display of touch and accuracy, which contradicted the degree of his inexperience. But the game was more than statistics. It was a fourth quarter, 31-20 whole dramatic turnaround. Down 31-20 in the fourth quarter, White engineered 2 consecutive drives that ended with a touchdown to Tyler Kroft, and then, in legendary fashion, converted his own 2-point conversion, an eternity moment in Jets history. The performance did more than just energize MetLife, it blew a reaction across the league. Fans were yelling his name. NFL pundits rushed to reevaluate projections. Fantasy in-game lineups were ruined, and Jets country temporarily permitted itself to dream once more. But it was a reminder as well of the brutal truth of the NFL. White lost only 2 more games the rest of the season, and even though he remained a starter in 2022, his play dropped back to average. He finished out his Jets career with 9 touchdowns and 13 interceptions, and now has backup roles across the league. But that Halloween day is lost forever in its innocence, a fleeting moment of brilliance, happiness, and unadorned football spectacle. For one day, Mike White was not only the backup but the symbol of hope in the fickle realm of professional sports. After his breakout game with the Jets, Mike White was a free agent and reassigned in short order. On March 16, 2023, he signed a 2-year, $8 million deal with the Miami Dolphins that was worth $4.5 million guaranteed, clearly intended as a strong backup to Tua Tagovailoa. White played in 6 games, all garbage games during the 2023 season. His only highlight was in a Week 3 blowout victory against the Broncos when he hit a 68-yard touchdown pass to Robbie Chosen. Otherwise, his production consisted of 5 of 6 completions for 74 yards. There was a competition brewing in the Dolphins camp by August 2024. Mike White and Skylar Thompson were even-Steven backup quarterbacks. Although White possessed seniority and a larger contract, Thompson provided a superior preseason with more yards and superior efficiency. The Dolphins ultimately chose to retain Thompson, saving $3.5 million and citing his familiarity with the offense and game day work. White was released on August 25, 2024. Salary cap concerns were one factor, but the abysmal preseason, 46.5% completion percentage, 179 passing yards, and no touchdowns came into play too. Days later, he signed with the Buffalo Bills practice squad, earning a spot on the team's roster on August 28th. He stayed there for much of the season, finally being brought to the active roster in 2024 as emergency backup quarterback relief behind Josh Allen and Mitchell Trubisky. Mike White's Week 8 explosion was not a flash in the pan. It was a Jets' cultural seismic shock and an NFL history statistical anomaly. In his initial career start, White broke franchise records, established league-wide connections, and for one day of burnished glory was the symbol of hope for a lost generation. He became the first Jets quarterback since 2000 to ever pass for more than 400 yards in a single game. And that wasn't all. White also became the first merger-era quarterback to pass for more than 400 yards and 3 touchdowns in their first NFL start. And for icing on the cake, his 37 completions were a record for most completions in a first start in Jets history. The product was greater than statistics. It was poetic theater, a quarterback picking himself up off the turf and rewriting the playbook on the fly. Off the field, the game became a spectacle and a story. Chants of Mike White rang out in MetLife Stadium, landing on national highlight reels and compelling analysts to rethink the Jets season. Social media was flipped on its head. Twitter had dubbed it the gutsiest debut in memory, as fantasy football owners scrambled to sign a name no one thought would be starring. The theatrics extended beyond lights-out play and fantasy points. Coaches praised his poise under pressure, teammates embraced him as a locker room spark, and analysts wondered out loud if there was something more. Tellingly, ESPN's front page the next day didn't lead with blitz packages, it spotlighted the moment Mike White became a symbol of potential. Of course, the NFL is a grand finale stage-left spectacle. White's career path was put back on track, becoming an adequate backup rather than a franchise legend. But that lone Sunday appearance is unimpeachable, forever etched in history as evidence that even in a dismal season, pro football's magic can bring redemption. That's why it matters. It wasn't just one great game. It was a combination of timing, talent, and drama, when the surprise relief becomes the clutch hero. What if that one perfect game was all it took to become a legend? Was Mike White a spark that never caught fire, or a hero we'll never forget? Let us know in the comments, and if you love stories like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible NFL moments. See you on the next one.